Hello, you guys, and thank y'all for tuning in to this week's episode of the Journey Podcast, where I am your host, Kiara. It's always my pleasure to hang out with you guys. It is Thursday. So happy Thursday, and I hope that this week has been amazing for you all thus far, and that you are excited about the weekend that's coming up. Kids are going back to school, and that's been exciting. I think this is definitely one of my favorite times of the year. When I look on my timeline and I see all the little kiddos starting a new year, and so forth. And so I'm excited about that. My kids have not started school yet. Um, but they are coming up soon, and I'm excited about this new year for all of them. We have rising senior, so we have a busy year coming up. And so I'm excited about that. I'm excited about everybody's new school year this year for real. Because it's I love my kids. Love them down. I love seeing them do new things and take on new like opportunities and new journeys and stuff like that. So I'm always excited about this time of year. I hope that you guys um were able to tune into last week's episode. It was titled "Why Is This Happening to Me?" Um, I liked it. I guess I like. And I can't say that I like all of the episodes. I cannot say that. Um, but it definitely was one of the more one of the episodes that were dearest to me. Let's say that. Let's say that. I think that's what I want to say. So I hope you guys were able to tune into that. If not, it's still available for you guys to look at. Um, and yeah, but other than that, yeah, let's go ahead and get into this week's episode because I'm excited about it. And yeah, so today we are going to be talking about triggers, um, and how we say that we're healed. We say that certain things that used to bother us, like abandonment, rejection, um, all the things, guys, all the things, all of the, all of the traumas, and you know what? I think that society has slimmed the traumas down to certain things, but there's so much more traumatic things that people experience. It's not just abandonment and rejection and just like the normal, the frequent, let's say that, the frequently spoken on trigger. I mean, yeah, traumas. So traumas trigger you going through some kind of trauma. If you've experienced some kind of trauma, certain things trigger, put you in remembrance of that trauma, when they happen to you or when they happen around you, um, and stuff like that. So um, yeah, guys, and so a lot of times people think that you aren't healed because you're still triggered by certain things. Certain things still trigger those old traumatic experiences. And that doesn't mean that. That's not true. Um, I recently, and this is why I wanted to talk about it because I felt like I kind of went back and forth with myself, and I kind of asked myself, like, are you really healed if that bothered you? And the short answer to it is yes. Yes, I am. Just because you're healed doesn't mean that things don't bother you anymore. You're not like you're not human anymore. Things are gonna bother you. Things are gonna not be okay with you, and that's okay. That's okay. That doesn't mean that you're not healed because you're able to identify signs and warnings of, hey, this might be what that situation might be, but the healed part of you should be able to analyze that those situations. So when you feel triggered, like I said, just because you're healed, just because you've done the work, doesn't mean that you aren't still triggered. It doesn't mean that things don't still bother you. They don't. It doesn't mean that, like, ignore that. Ignore that. That's okay. You're healed. That is not a problem. No, that's not true. So yeah, I honestly, I wanted to be upset with myself for, um, for allowing it to bother me for real. I was like, I said, now you done did all this work and you letting stuff like that bother. It's okay. It's okay. There are gonna be things. There are gonna be people. There are gonna be places that you go that trigger you, and it's gonna bother you, and it's okay to be bothered. That does not mean that you're not healed. That just means that you're able to identify the possibility of that, whatever that trauma happening again. Um, where it shows that you're healed is how you respond to the trigger. Um, is that trigger rising up emotions in you that cause you to lose control of yourself? Are you still in control of yourself when you're triggered? Um, and so being able to identify one, well, to really even like slow down the process, because sis used to go from 0 to 7 million real quick. Like, hold up. We're not doing that. The old me used to have just really lack self control. Okay, let's say that. And so today, I do have control over myself. Um, and so, and I'm grateful for that. Yes, things do still bother me when people do certain things to me. Um, Okay, let me just give y'all a little small bit of insight without going into too much detail about a situation that recently happened to me, where I just kind of was like, I was upset with myself for being bothered by the situation. I appreciate and I loved the way that I responded. Or really just didn't respond. I just kind of like brushed it off and was like, okay, cool. I see what this is. I'm able to identify what this is, and I wish not to be a part of. I wish not to be a part of the conversation for real, and so I removed myself from the conversation, gracefully. Hold up, now, not not the girl got a little grace about herself. However, I did know that the old me, I wouldn't have thought about it. I wouldn't have, and that's how I know, that the work that God is doing in me and the work that I've been doing, is working. And so, um, you being healed just kind of, it hits different when you know, that the old you would have tore some stuff up, would have tore down. The old you would have let them have it, you know? Um, the healed version of you that has done the work, that's taken the notes, that's taken accountability. You know, I didn't like the fact that I was hot tempered. I did not like that. Because afterwards I'd feel so defeated. Like, dang, man, I let those people get the best of me. And I think it really was a matter of, and it's not making excuses for being hot tempered, but it was really the fact that I know that I don't, even till this day, I do not bother people. I am a very kind person, very understanding. Just all I am probably one of the nicest people that you will meet, and I'm not just saying that because everybody wants to say that they're nice, but I really, like, if you have met me for real, you know that I'm just really a kind person. My heart is good, and that's just me. And so for somebody to be mean to me and for somebody to be just nasty with me or whatever the case may be, it's like, okay, you ain't even had to do all that, but I'm gonna show you that the old me, not me, not today's me. The old me would have been, yeah. Hold on, don't worry. You sit right there. You sit right there. That's where I want you at. And so I'm so grateful that people get to meet the new me and not the old me. Um, so it's like you can be triggered, but you now, the healed version of you that's done the work, the version of you that's prayed and asked God to make you better, knows better. You know, now you know better than to be reacting like that. You know better than to give people that much control over you, that much power over you, to just kind of have you acting all kind of way. Here you are. You done told everybody, I am reading my Bible. I'm studying my Bible. I'm studying my Bible. I've done all this inner work, and just for them to send you across the water. There you go. Now you mad. Now all the work that you done did, for what? It just won't work. You done did all this work and it didn't work. No, you have to be for real. You have to be intentional. Like I said, you are human. We're human. We're still gonna be triggered. Those things, people are gonna still show us signs, and you can be like, hold on now, this look a little bit like, okay, let's say for instance, I want to use something good. Let's say, for instance, you started dating. The person kind of goes from first y'all were just talking, talking, talking. Y'all were constantly just instant messaging, and they go kind of MIA for a little while. Now you hot. Ooh, I know. He better, but they better text me back right now. I know they went. I text you at 9:40 a.m. It is now 3 o'clock, and you're just now texting me back. Oh, you got some funny stuff going on. Or no, I was just at work and I got busy, things picked up, and so here you are, you done did all of that just for you just for you to because you're so triggered. And so here you are, that is not healed. Okay. Jumping to conclusions is not healed, and I'm still growing through this. This is something that I'm still actively working on. I cannot say that I am completely where I would like to be with that, because I still um am triggered, and I still sometimes I slip up. Sometimes I slip up, and you know what? And I ask God to help me to deal with times like that, because I don't want to my thing is thinking that somebody's playing in my face. That's my thing. Like, hold on now, why are you playing in my face? And sometimes people don't even be playing like it. And then when you know what, now that I'm like conscious of the fact that I think like that, um I sometimes I just kind of, instead of like jumping straight to conclusions as soon as the person does whatever they do, I kind of, I kind of observe and see like them finish out whatever it was that they were doing. Um, let me like, okay, let's say for instance, like, so I was at I was at work, and somebody put something in my workspace that I didn't want, and I was like, and she only put it there because she was trying to get out of her area, and she just set it there real quick, because instead of me going, were you putting that on my, instead of just going jumping straight to that, I just wanted to see, like, what is she gonna do? Why is she putting that over here? Don't put your stuff by me, and so here I was. I didn't instantly think like that. And this was recently. I just kind of watched and saw what she was gonna do, but to see how to respond to what she was doing. And so here she was. She had so much stuff. She had to put her stuff in my space for it to, and it wasn't in my space so much where it was like, oh, you can't like move around, or you're covering up my stuff, or whatever the case may be. It was simply like, hold on real quick. She didn't say anything though. She didn't communicate her action. So she just kind of was doing what she was doing, and I was like, what are you doing? And that's still something that I'm working on, because the old me would have been. But you know what? I see the progress, and don't beat yourself up, guys, because you're making progress, and we're not gonna get stuck on, oh, I'm still making progress, or no, we're gonna actually be making progress until we follow through with the healing, where we're not allowing our emotions, or our or feelings or whatever to dictate our reaction to certain things. And so um uh, growth doesn't mean that things don't bother you. Healing doesn't mean that things don't bother you. It just simply means that these things are not going to dictate how I'm going to react in this moment. Because I know better, you know. I know that we can avoid a heated conversation if I just just kind of fall back and just kind of be observant and analyze the situation a little bit better. I was told that I overanalyze things, um, but it works for me. It works for me. It helps me to be calm. Helps me not to react so quickly to things that make me uncomfortable sometimes. Now, that also doesn't mean, guys, just because you're healed, because you've done the work, that doesn't mean don't communicate the things that trigger you, especially if you're like if it's like stuff with like you got friends or relationships, um any type of relationship that you're maintaining with somebody. You should be able to, if something triggers you, you should be able to communicate that with your friends or whomever it is that you're maintaining a relationship with, because while we're still human and those triggers do still bother us, you should be able to communicate, and they should be able to respect the fact that you don't like something. Hey, I know that I know that things may have picked up for you at work, um, and sometimes that might happen. If you could just let me know, hey, things are picking up at work, I'll text you later, versus like just going ghost, that would help me. And when people love and care about you guys, they are more than willing to. They don't want to make you feel no type of way. You know, it's not my goal to make you feel like I'm abandoning you because I got busy at work. I don't want you to feel like that. I those few hours that you had to go through, that must have been long for you. And I don't like that for you. And so because you experienced that, I do apologize. That's first. I want to apologize, but I want to reassure you that wasn't my I didn't want that wasn't my plan to make you feel that way. I wasn't trying to be funny. I wasn't trying to be, and it's not over explaining and it's not complaining. Y'all, we got to stop thinking that letting people know how things make us feel is complaining. Because it's not. It's just really not. Like, it's not complaining. It's letting it's teaching people how to love you and how to deal with you. Um, that's important. As your friend, as your partner, as whatever I am to you, I should know how to deal with you. You should allow me to do that. And so I think a lot of times, even myself, I'm still working. That's something I'm still working on too. I'm still working on learning how to communicate my feelings and my thoughts without like without people thinking like, oh, this girl crazy. No, I'm not. People that love you and respect you and care about you, they're not gonna think that. They're gonna be like, you know what? I understand your trauma. I understand what you've been through, and I don't want you to feel like that. I don't want you to feel. I know people that have gone through a lot of traumatic things in life, not even just in childhood, just in life in period. I mean, in general, in period. Like, what, y'all be letting me say anything. Anyways, people that just have been through things in life, a lot of trauma or recent trauma, not even if it's been a lot, just recent trauma. You have, as a new person in their life, as a person that is, learning them and getting to know them, you have to earn letting their guard down. And I'm not saying, hold on now. I want y'all to know that I'm not saying beg somebody to be open and honest with you, beg somebody to be beg somebody to be in there. I'm not saying that. If you see, hey, you done been through too much recent trauma and that's not something that you're willing to deal with, please don't deal with that. Please don't take on a person that's so damaged that you can't that is like, okay, no, I'm not willing to do this too much work. That's okay. That doesn't make you a bad person. That is not you abandoning them. Just say, hey, I know you've been through a lot. And I feel like it makes me uncomfortable to have to do XYZ. I don't feel like I should have. If you don't feel like you should have to tell somebody, hey, I'm getting busy at work, you don't have to. You don't have to. But you also don't have to deal with that person. Why deal with somebody that you trigger and that and you know what, y'all? Be mindful of that. People, once you set that boundary, once you set that standard for, hey, this is what I require for, to feel loved or whatever. Once you disclose that with them and they make their decision, they either decide to do whatever it is that you need for them to do, for them to help you through those feelings, help you navigate through those feelings in a way where you feel safe with them, or they're gonna say, girl, I'm not about to be telling you I'm getting busy at work. Okay, you don't have to. You have to make that decision then when you see that what they have chosen. When you see what they chose, you have to make the decision to either leave or stay there and continuously be triggered. Why are we sitting here being triggered? It's so much people in this world. I don't have to be friends with people that piss me off. You don't have to. You just don't. Uh and you know what? I think a lot of the time um people overlook sometimes and I can say this too cuz I am guilty of this too. We'll overlook some of our red flags because some of the green flags, like, oh well, you know what, overall you're a nice person, you're a good person to talk to, I enjoy talking with you or whatever the case may be, I enjoy hanging out with you or whatever the case may be, but you do still do things that I don't like and that trigger me. No, no, there is somebody out there, a good friend out there, a good boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever friend or whatever you're looking for. There are people out there that are willing to check all those boxes. We're not settling for anything in this new version of us. Is We're just not settling. It's just not, no. No, I'm not gonna settle for when somebody is that's not asking for too much of somebody else. And so, while that acknowledgement, while acknowledging that might hurt and make you feel some type of way, you have to do what's best for you. We got to take care of ourselves. Um, we have to take care of ourselves until we encounter someone that is okay with making sure that we're taken care of. Okay, you don't want to give me what I want? That's fine. You don't want to, I'm too much for you or you're too much for me? That's fine. Um, we're gonna have to part ways because it's unhealthy for us to continue to mean that we're gonna keep on having the same conversations, the same arguments, and so forth and so on because um, we can't find a middle ground in my dislikes and your actions, or whatever the case may be. Um, yeah. uh, um, yeah, and that's okay, y'all. That doesn't make you weak. That don't mean, oh, I can handle all the things. No, you don't have to handle that. You ain't got to deal with that. Stop dealing with stuff you don't have to deal with. Um, are you gonna have to spend some time alone again for a little while because, um, and be fair, guys. Be fair. Don't not communicate and just be cutting people off because you never know, that person might be willing to check those boxes. That person might be willing to make those changes. And so I want to just look at the different angles of healing and the process that you go through. So one, you want to recognize the trigger, or whatever the case may be, and it's you recognizing it is you saying, hey, you know what, I know this feeling. Instead of immediately reacting, you recognize the rejection, the disrespect, the abandonment, whatever the case may be. Sometimes it's comparison, sometimes it's betrayal, whatever. And you're recognizing, one, that has been activated. That's the first step of you responding after you've been here. This is how I knew that I was Hold on now. The work is working. um and then the next step is separating the present from the past. So sometimes our reaction is bigger than the current situation because we're responding to every other time that trauma has happened. And so here it is, we've recognized the trigger. Oh, this looks like comparison. This looks like abandonment. Hold on now. Mm-mm. And you got to think and because it looks like that, your response isn't even based off of right now. Now you look like this wild crazy person, depending on how you react. Now you look like this wild crazy person because you're thinking about the time that you felt abandoned, um, in the relationship you were in 3 years ago, 5 years ago. And so hold on now, you showing sign, you acting like Bonquisha, you acting like Fred. And this is nothing against Fred or Bonquisha. That's just names that I just thought of automatically. And so here you are, you're reacting. They're reminding you, putting you in remembrance of those people that did what they did to you, and now you are reacting to them as if they are that person. And so, we have to acknowledge the fact that this is not that person. That person also may not be aware of all the things that you've been through. And this is why it's important to let people know um, what you've been through, especially if you plan on having some type of relationship with them. That way they know how to handle you. It's kind of like giving them the manual to, but before we give somebody the manual on how to handle us, we got to make sure that that person is this person that we want to have this lasting friendship or relationship with. Because not everybody, my mom's calling me. I'm gonna call you back, mom. Hold on, y'all. Mom, I'm gonna call you back. Okay. so, and so you have to realize that this person is not that person. Um and also they might not know what you've been through. And this is probably a good opportunity to let them know, hey, you know, in a previous relationship, you don't have to let them know exactly who. Oh, when I was in a relationship with Chantel, Chantel did. You don't have to do all that. You don't have to do that. You can just be like, hey, you know, I experienced in a relationship something very similar to this and I didn't like it. And when you did that, that made me feel. You have to stop maintaining relationships with people that you are not willing to be vulnerable with. There's that. There's that. If that person doesn't make you feel safe enough to be in a space of vulnerability, um you know, are you working to get there? That's a thing. I can see that where that's a thing where you're working to get to a place where you feel safe being vulnerable because you probably have spent your whole life unable to be vulnerable, unable to be to let your guard down for real. And so you've always had to be the strong person, or you've always had to be the person or even sometimes people think vulnerability shows weakness. That does not mean that. And so we're gonna get that part out there right away. um and yeah. And so I don't want to get too caught up on separating the present from the past, but that part is just so it's such a big part of it. And so one, we got to know our relationship with this person. Have I been open and honest with this person where they know, where they're aware that what they're doing to me is, you know, reminding me of someone from my past or something from my past or whatever the case may be. And so the next step is that old response. That old response comes to mind. Healing does not necessarily erase the thought. Like, I know I would have ate these people up. Hold on now. I know that this tongue sharper than a sword with two edges. Hold on now. Be done with the stop, okay? So you know, sometimes people don't know, like, you know, because people haven't met that version of you, they don't know that you really was like that. I'm really letting you eat. And yeah, healing doesn't necessarily erase the thought. You might still know exactly what you could say or do or what you're capable of in that situation. But growth is realizing I have the ability to go there, but I'm not even going there. I'm not gonna even let you get me there. Like, just knowing what you could do and not doing it. Hold on now, not you growing up. You too grown. You too grown for me. We are gonna get off that. But also we gotta keep in remembrance. Not every trigger deserves confrontation. Not every trigger and not in addressing it doesn't mean that you're trying to be confrontational. It doesn't mean that you're trying to make anybody feel uncomfortable or whatever the case may be. Addressing it um is healing. Sometimes being able to talk it out and say, "Hey, you know what? That I didn't like that. That made me feel uncomfortable." But also making sure that you're maintaining relationships with people that you can go to and say, "Hey, I didn't like that," without them being offended. Like, you don't have to be offended because I didn't like something. I've been through so much that like, and it has nothing to do with you, but just everything to do with what I've been through. Um, and people that care about you, and people that would like to maintain a healthy relationship with you, they're gonna respect that. They are. And people that don't, those are not your people. That's just the bottom line of it. Those are not your people. um yeah, so sometimes it's setting a boundary. Sometimes um it's leaving. Sometimes, like, when somebody triggers you, you've communicated, "Hey, that's a trigger for me. That's something that makes me feel uncomfortable. That's something that I do not like." um or whatever the case may be. And um and you keep doing it, and I've told you that, and you just keep doing it. And so sometimes healing looks like leaving people that can't respect your mind, that can't respect those triggers. That And like I said, it's not you being triggered, it doesn't make you unhealed. It doesn't make you a bad person. Now you're conscious of what's going on around you and what you're gonna stand for and what you're not. You gotta stand up for yourself, y'all. We have to stand up for ourselves. We have to speak up for ourselves. We have to let people know how they're making us feel. "Hey, you're making me feel uncomfortable. You're making me feel misunderstood." And when people make you feel, if I'm telling you, "Hey, you're making me feel misunderstood," and they're like, "No, you don't understand." Instead of trying to help you through that, like, "Hey, I don't want you to feel misunderstood. I want to understand you. I want you to make sense to me, because I love you so much. I care about you so much that I want to do the work to make this friendship or this relationship work, and I respect you enough to want to maintain a healthy relationship with you." And so um you have to give people grace, but grace doesn't mean unlimited access. You can understand why someone behaves the way they do, and still decide that they can't continue behaving that way around you. "Hey, you know what? I understand why you are the way you are. I understand why you do the things you do," because sometimes you can let people know, "Hey, when you did XYZ, I didn't like it," and they're like, "Well, I do that because of ZYX." And so, okay, well, you do that. Are you willing to change that? Because if not, then I'm gonna have to pass. Oh. Are you gonna stop doing that? I don't like that. um, and that's you gracefully dealing with that trigger. "Hey, I'm not gonna allow you to keep doing that, and I'm not gonna adjust to the way you are, because that's just how you are." Okay, I'm making changes to be around you, to be in your presence, um, and so can we find a middle ground where we're just not doing that anymore? I understand. And you can understand people all day. That doesn't make what they're doing right, And I'm a very understanding person. I understand. I understand that people go through things, and that's why I've done better with, like, reacting to things, because I know that I don't bother anybody. I don't do anything to, well, I don't try to. It's never intentional. If I have done something to like bother somebody, it's never intentional, and I'm always willing to apologize. Um, that doesn't and I understand it has nothing to do with me. The way that they are acting, the way that they're treating me, or whatever the case may be, has absolutely nothing to do with me. However, I understand that you've been through a lot. I understand, but if you're not willing to heal and you're not willing to grow, I do not want to be around you. I know you've been through a lot, so you yell at people a lot. You're not about to be yelling at me. You go and yell at somebody else, but you need to activate the heal version of yourself when you're dealing with me, or you just won't deal with me. That's just that. Heal version activate. Heal version activate. um, yeah. So you can decide. You can make that decision where, hey, I've communicated with you. I don't like that. Here you are, still being like that. That's fine. You be the way that you are. You be that way, but you be that way without my presence. You have to be able to say that. You have to be able to walk away from things and people that that don't um that don't give you that, the like they're not operating in the way that you'd like for them to. We are in control of our own bubble. Anything and anybody in my bubble is here because I allowed them to be here, um not because they forced me. No, 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 no. Learn how to walk away from people that constantly trigger you, that don't respect your boundaries, don't respect your standards. But you have to make your standards plain, and let them know, hey, this is what I expect. This is what my heart desires. This is what I'm looking for in a relationship, in a friendship, and so whatever kind of ship you in, this is what I'm looking for. And if you aren't that, I don't want you to fake it. I don't want to fake you to fake it until you make it, and now we get all close or whatever, and now you revert back because guess what? You still getting cut off. Bye. Because I'm not dealing with that. We're all in a point in our lives where we're old enough to understand um that we are in control of the people that we're allowing in our lives. People that continuously hurt you are not there. No, people that continuously make you feel unsafe, they're not, like, no, they don't have to be around you. Stop allowing these people around you. Stop allowing yourself to keep going through this battle of triggers where you, like, I gotta keep feeling. No, I don't want to keep feeling like that. No. And don't tell yourself, well, just stop feeling like that. They don't mean no harm. Yeah. If I told you I don't like something, you mean harm. But we're gonna go on to the next thing. Stop measuring healing by whether you got triggered. Measure it by what happened afterward. Did you spiral for 3 days? Or regulate yourself in 30 minutes? Did you send a paragraph or did you delete it? Did you retaliate or recognize what was happening and make a different choice? Um, that is big. How you're responding is is what measures the amount of healing that you've experienced. Sometimes we just get the first part where we identify it, and sometimes we get to the second notch, and we get, and then we go back to, to the version of ourselves that retaliated. and the fact that you made those two notches is good. That's good. That's progress. Don't beat yourself up, but you got so far where you were able to recognize it and you were able to call it what it was. However, you allowed the trigger to dictate your reaction. And you, well, to determine a negative reaction. And so that test was not a test that you passed. However, guess what? You got to take it again and again and again until you pass. And so there's that. But triggers can reveal where there's still work to do. And so take that into consideration. You know where you need to do work. You need to do work on your responding. Like, okay, I shouldn't have responded like that. I know better. I've done all this work, and don't let all the work that you've done be in vain. You know, you've healed, you're living this new and soft life. And guys, men can live soft lives too. Men can live lives where they don't always have to have their guard up, where they have to be the strong one, or they have like, well, I don't say don't not be strong. However, just it's okay to be vulnerable as a man. It's okay. That's fine. um it's okay to teach people how to love and care about you, and how to nurture those wounds that you have endured over the years. It's You need that. Do you need that? Y'all not like that. If this is your first time watching, I do like to ask, do you need that? I like that. And I feel like I always kind of get to a moment where I ask that. Um, but those having those moments where you're triggered, they can show you where you are, where you need to do a little bit more work, where you need to do a little more healing. So instead of being ashamed of that something affected you, get curious. Why did that bother me so much? Um why does that still set a fire to me? Why? Ask yourself that. And heal that. You know? Um you still you still have work to do, and that's okay. It's okay to still have work to do. It's okay to not be done. And sometimes you feel like, dang, I did all this work, and you really, you still got some work to do. That's fine. That's fine. And so sometimes the test isn't whether God removes the people and situations that trigger the old version of you. Sometimes is God allowing you to be put in similar situations um, with a new opportunity to respond differently. And so be grateful for those opportunities to be triggered. So hold on. Let me show y'all something. Let me show you a little 1, 2, little 1, 2. Let me show you the workout I did. That's good. That's healthy. We like that. We need that. um, send those things my way, God, so I can prove to myself that I am growing, that I am healing, that I am getting better. I'm not still a product of abandonment. I'm not still a product of rejection. I'm not still an angry um I'm not still an angry black woman. I'm not a man, but we're gonna speak for the men. I'm not still an angry black man. I'm not still a hot tempered individual. I'm not I'm not that anymore. That's not me. That's not who I am. um I gotta stop. Um you're not that anymore, and that makes me feel happy. That makes me feel happy to know that I am growing, and that the work that I'm doing, the work that God has been doing in me, has not been in vain. And so I'm grateful. I'm grateful for that. Um, and sometimes, guys, we mistake suppression for healing. We suppress. We inside. We fuming. Like on fire. Like, oh God, I was so triggered. I could really blow up right now. That is not healed. Okay. So we're gonna say that. Let's put that out there. If something triggers you, and just because you didn't tear everything up, um the fact that you're fuming on the inside, the fact that steam is coming out your head right now, that's just a sign that you do still have more work to do, because those triggers should not make you that where you have to hold yourself back that aggressively. You should be able to analyze it, and you should be able to communicate how you feel. Hey, that made me angry, that made me upset, I don't like that. But you should be able to communicate that in a way that is healthy, that a way that is graceful, um in a way especially if you're communicating that, you're communicating it with somebody that you love and care about. And so think about that. Trying to I don't want to talk to you in a way that's disrespectful to you, or a way that offends you, or whatever the case may be. That might offend you, even if it doesn't really offend you, because you're used to talking to people aggressively. um I don't want to talk to you like that. I want to talk to you like I love you. I want to talk to you like I care about you. And so you fuming on the inside, and or even sometimes it's not even fuming on the inside. Sometimes some of us we pull back. I know me personally, I'll be like, nah, I'm good. I peep that. I will observe something, or I will, or you will, and then I'll be like, mm-mm. Nah, I'm good. And I won't, and it's sometimes it's hard for me to communicate that because of a trauma. Me communicating my feelings has resulted in me being misunderstood, or me not being able to communicate it in a way where that person might understand, or whatever the case may be. And so it's just like, sometimes I would just rather not say anything. However, I think that is something that I do that is unhealthy. And that's something that I want to work on. I want to work on being able to communicate my feelings thoroughly. Where, because sometimes I get so frustrated where it's like, I can't even get my words together. So sometimes you do need to take a step back and come back and say, hey, you know what? Earlier when we had that conversation, it made me feel uncomfortable, or whatever the case may be. That's something that I'm still working on. So I can't really tell anybody how to navigate through that. However, guys, if you are somebody that has mastered that, help me. I'm not afraid to ask for. Look at me, y'all, not being afraid to ask for help. Look at y'all, saw that. I'm asking for help. Um, I actually talked to my therapist about that as well, because this is something that I just haven't had good experiences with. And that says a lot about the type of relationships that I've been maintaining. Why do I not feel safe? Why do I not feel safe with being calm at relaying my feelings and my thoughts, And so while that is something that I'm working on, yeah. So I'm just doing the work. Um and so I was proud of myself. I was proud of myself and how I responded. I was like, look how different. Like, I know that I'm learning and I'm growing because of how I handled things that would have hurt me some time ago. Some things that would have just made me feel some type of way, for real. Um so yeah, we think about it. What happens when the trigger still triggers you? What happens? Like, what happens when the trigger still triggers you, but you're not who you used to be? What does that look like? So, like I said, we've been put in these situations to see, like, God. Okay, let's think about it. We're gonna use the teacher analogy again, where the teacher is there. The teacher taught you all these things. So God is the teacher. Whomever you believe in, whomever your God is your teacher, is teaching you how to be graceful, how to handle uncomfortable situations or whatever. And sometimes hold on now, sometimes these tests are to see if God can put more on your plate, see how you steward the all the things, the knowledge that you have, how you are capable of dealing with people that you encounter that are difficult, that are hard to read, hard to understand. How are you dealing with these people? How are you? So now here I am. I'm putting more people. Here God is putting more people in your. He's trusting you with more people, with more things, under your umbrella, and because he sees now that you're capable of handling these things, and it's just like with money. I'm not gonna give you more money and you foolish with the dang on $3 I gave you. Like, you should have invested that little $3, but here you go. You went and bought some candy. I'm not giving you $30. Now you what? No. Have you grown up? Are we growing up? Are we still, or are we still 16-year-old us? Are we still 21-year-old us? Who are we? Um, yeah. So yeah, does your reaction to a trigger belong to your wounds? Um, or does it belong to your growth? Does it belong to the work that you've done? And so that's a question. Um, that I had to ask myself when I wanted to beat myself up for even being triggered. Y'all, I tell y'all, I was so mad that I was mad. I was mad at myself that I got mad, that I felt some type of way. No, I wouldn't even say I got mad. I was mad at myself that I felt some type of way. Um, and so did I respond like, oh, I know they ain't playing with me, or did I respond and just gracefully? And I did gracefully, guys. I still know they wasn't playing. And you know what? I knew that um that the way that they were acting didn't have anything to do with me. It was just simply off of their own frustration, the things that they were going through, and their misfortune or whatever the case may be. You got to realize, hurt people or damaged people, sometimes they are so comfortable with taking that somewhere else, damaging other people or hurting other people. And I know y'all have heard hurt people hurt people. Sometimes hurt people are trying to heal. Some hurt people are trying to do the work. So I would have considered myself a hurt person, and doing the work and healing, I don't consider myself that anymore. When I was hurt, as a hurt person, I didn't want to hurt other people. I actually like to be in solitude. I like to be by myself. I like to not have people around me, because I know that I was so hurt that I could cause hurt to someone else. I was so angry that I could make somebody else angry. And so healing will sometimes make you look passive to people who only knew the reactive version of you. So here you are, people that really know me, when they see me, they be like, dang, you ain't gonna see my day. And it's like, no. They may think that you didn't notice. They may think that you didn't pick up what everybody else was putting down. They might think you scared. They even might think that, dang, you let them get away. You let them eat too good, like in your face. They playing in your face. They playing in your top, friend. And whole time you noticed what was going on. You just decided that proving that you can retaliate and proving that you can hurt somebody back isn't worth disturbing the peace that you got. And so the peace that you work so hard to get can be disturbed by yourself, because you allowed someone to get you out of that perfect peace that you created, for that God created. And so here you are, you done created this whole new space for yourself that's healthy, that's good, and you allow somebody to get you out of that space. Now look at you. Who weak? Who's sorry? And so that leads me to another question. Are you actually responding differently, or have you just gotten better at holding your reaction in? Like, are you holding your reaction in, or are you really, does that trigger not trigger you? And then we get to a point now. We get to a point where the trigger don't even trigger us no more. I ain't worrying about that. I ain't thinking about you. You're not even thinking about that anymore. That doesn't bother you anymore. That's grown. That's real grown. Because there is a difference between regulation and suppression. Like, are you regulated in this moment, or are you suppressing the fact that you about to turn up every chance you get, every time the opportunity presents itself? What you gotta do? And so, yeah, healing doesn't require you to pretend that you're not triggered, or that you're not upset, or you don't feel some type of way. That doesn't require you to do that. You can be triggered, you can be disappointed, you can be angry, you can need distance or space, or whatever the case may be. You can need whatever it is that you need. That doesn't, just because you're healed doesn't mean that you don't need those things anymore, or that you can't be those things anymore, because those are emotions. And like I said, we're human, and the growth is realizing every emotion doesn't require an immediate action, or sometimes it requires for you to sit and think, and say, hey, you know what, I'm angry, but let me process why before I decide what to do or what to say, however I'm supposed to respond to this. Before I make that decision, let me not allow my emotions to make this decision for me, but let me, in my sane mind, and in my peaceful space, let me make that decision for myself. And yeah, maybe the evidence of healing isn't the old you never shows up. Maybe it's that the old you doesn't get the final say anymore. I like that. I really do like that. Um, because yeah, yeah. Sometimes like you're not triggered because you're not just triggered for no reason. You're triggered because somebody or something is happening, um, that shouldn't be happening. That's okay. So you gotta know, um, you have to know triggers versus warnings. There is a difference. There's a difference between triggers and warnings. So, um, this situation reminds me of something painful that happened before, or something not painful, something that was uncomfortable that happened before. This person is actively this person was actively violating a boundary that I had set, being disrespectful, being manipulative, or recreating the exact unhealthy behavior that I learned to recognize. So here it was, um, the trauma, the tr- being, you know, and now I could be grateful for those traumas because now I'm learning to identify when something doesn't align with, where I'm growing. Um, and healing is learning to tell the difference between a trigger and trauma. So just because somebody did something, yeah, that's how they are, whatever. But like I said, once you vocalize, I'm learning to vocalize my feelings, and my thoughts, and not, and just because I feel like it's healthy. And I'm learning to do that. I'm learning to teach people how to deal with me because a lot of people have their way of dealing with people in general. And I feel like you should deal with people how they need to be dealt with. It's like kids. So here I am, I have 7 kids. I can't deal with all of my children the same way. Does that make sense? I hope it does. I have to talk to Ziana different from how I talk to Torin. I have to talk to Torin different from how I talk to Austin, and so forth and so on. And so I can't. I have to learn how to deal with them, and I have taught them to say, "Hey, mama, I don't like that," and you're not in trouble because you don't like something that I did or something that I said or how I spoke. Hey, mama, I don't like when you yell at me early in the morning. And I try not to. I don't yell at the kids early in the morning. I try to be very graceful in the morning because that's the beginning of the day. But that's another story for another time. Anyways, um, yeah. So, and so, healing is learning to know the difference between the trigger and the warning. And because you don't want trauma making every harmless situation feel dangerous, you don't want to commit you don't want your commitment to healing, um to make you tolerate things your growth taught you to stop tolerating. Does that make sense, guys? So here is you're growing, you're healing, and you gonna put up with the same stuff because they didn't know that you. No, no, no. um but now, now that you're healing, now that you're growing, um you can do the work where you're investigating, like, did they mean, like, what did they actually mean by that? What are their actions saying, or whatever? Not what you think they meant. So you might think, oh, I think she being funny, or I think he being funny. Not what it reminded you of, um or like from the past, but what objectively happened, what exactly happened, what were their intentions and what they're doing. So, if especially, like I said, if you vocalize, hey, I don't like XYZ, and they continue to do that, they continue to play like that, now they playing in your face. Stop. We're not allowing people to just do things because, because that's how they are, that's what they do. um no, we're setting boundaries. um and we're allowing people to respect where we're growing to. And so I hope that this episode it's getting so lengthy. I gotta wrap it up. But I hope that this episode helps somebody. If y'all want to talk about it a little bit more, please, please, please find the YouTube page. Not the YouTube page, the Instagram page. Because we are on Instagram. And y'all been look at y'all being friends on Instagram, liking the little stuff. And I even got some little shares, y'all. We growing up, okay? We growing up. We are growing up. I am proud of you. I'm proud of the work that you've done. I'm proud of myself and the work that I've done. I can't wait to see you guys next week. I hope that you guys have a great and safe weekend. Everybody that's going back to school, no matter what level it's on, congratulations. I hope that you guys are having an amazing couple of first days or whatever the case may be. Post pictures, send pictures, do all the things. Make sure you guys are checking out the website for the audio version. And that's it. I love you guys with my whole heart. I hope that all is well and all is continuously well all the time. Hey, y'all have a good weekend. See y'all next week. Bye.